This is part 3 of our look into the strange nature of the M Cave and the Kenny Veach case. If you haven't watched parts 1 and 2, you can find a link to it in the description as well as the end screen to this video. So part 3 is going to be a little different. I want to start this video with a couple very interesting personal accounts of subscribers who were in the general area where Kenny was hiking. I also wanted to share a few comments left in parts 1 and 2 that bring up very pertinent points about this mystery that deserve serious consideration. In the latter half of this video, we'll take a look at some brand new information. There's been a recent development that I believe reasonably debunks at least one paranormal claim that seems to have become part of the overall story. So, sit back, enjoy, and here we go. First up is an excerpt from a comment left in part 1, left by Sparky Tuttle. Okay, here is something I happen to have a bit of up-close knowledge about. Every morning when I walk my dog, I live so close to the mountains that I can see the valley where Kenny actually disappeared. I have been up to that mine shaft where he left his cell. When Kenny uploaded his first video saying that the cave was near Nellis, that was a bit of a stretch. They are both considered on the north side of the valley, but Nellis is more to the east, while the Sheep Mountain Range covers the entire north. Kenny's Valley is located off I-95 more toward the west. The range will never be a family-friendly state park. It is located under the flying restricted area of the Air Force. However, if you're a tough hiker and can hike without any amenities or trails, you can go up there. It's in a natural state. There are many wrecked jets up there, and there are many steep drop-offs that you do not expect. I saw what I believe was the M Cave. However, I felt zero. This is not to say that Kenny was lying. I can tell you with absolute fact, when I owned my bar, which was a few blocks away from Nellis, I had been seeing things that I had questioned about. Over the 25 years I worked with these guys, I knew what I saw and knew who to ask for verification. What I saw and had verified was that behind the base itself, between Lake Mead Boulevard on the south side and I-15 headed to Utah on the north side, where the racetrack and Creech Air Force Base now sits, there is a small mountain. In fact, a few mountains. Under those mountains, they have been hollowed out. During the week, twice a week back in 1995, Nellis jets would tow black triangles in the almost invisible mode to the tops of those mountains. And in an instant, I would see a platform rise, the triangle land, and the platform disappear. When the mountain would open, it was very bright. When it shut, it was pitch black. You couldn't help but to know what you saw. She sent me an email explaining how to find some of these locations on Google Earth, so that's what I'm about to show you right now. It's just an excerpt from it. One thing to note is if you want to follow along on Google Earth yourself, you'll need to flip the map around so that south is pointing up and north is pointing down. So anyway, here's what she sent. Type in Lake Mead Boulevard at Hollywood, Las Vegas, Nevada. Lake Mead runs west to east. Get to that intersection, pull back until you begin to see on the left side a park, a dog park. A dog park, a school, and then the road goes in between the mountains. Those first mountains are hollow between the road and the base. I can verify that myself. So if they could do that back in 1980, what can they do now? Anyway, this whole section is on the east side of Sheep Mountain, not near where Kenny was, at least in his last video. So, if that was hollowed out, then they have probably just continued to head around to Sheep Mountain. Okay, so here's something else that she said. I'm sort of reading excerpts here. This was an interesting little excerpt in one of her comments. If my pal Phil was telling the truth, there are plenty of tunnels around all bases. So this I found interesting. This was from Nell 72. I'll read an excerpt from it. I live in northern Nevada, and I have explored a lot of the desert and hills up here, but I've only gone to the southern Nevada desert one time and never did go back. I couldn't quite put my finger on it, but it had a really uncomfortable feeling about it. My friends that were with me, who are also very experienced in desert hiking and exploring, felt the same way. In part 1, we talked about the probability that Lemmy Kilmister is Croatian, and Taxmax S mentioned something interesting with respect to that. Croatian and Slovenian caves are very famous in Europe. They are some of the biggest caves in Europe. A lot of Croatian people are professional in caving. If you look for specialists, you find among other East European, Slovenian, and Croatian people. If a Croatian told Kenny he shouldn't go there for a second time, this was a natural warning. Hear your inner voice. Don't ignore that feeling of fear. W.M. Horace. Not just infrasound can affect people, but magnetic fields can as well. Okay, this is something that I personally have not looked into that much, but I think that's certainly deserving of a much closer look. And Roku writes, have you read Millennial Hospitality? These are effects mentioned by Charles Hall that sound very much like some of what you talk about in the MCave related videos. I did a quick search for it, and from what I could gather, this book talks a little bit about perhaps underground alien bases. Correct me if I'm wrong, but if anyone has read this, please let me know, because I'd really like to know more about it. Shifting gears a bit with respect to the paranormal claim, it's been alleged that there was a possible EVP of Kenny recorded by the mine shaft where he left his phone. It was actually inside the mine shaft. Here's a video clip from Michael Scott.
Once it gets to the time marker at about 10 minutes and 8 seconds, they're looking down this shaft, the same shaft that Kenny was looking down in his video. They're looking down the shaft, and as they're looking down at the 10-minute and 8-second mark, you can hear somebody say, "Somebody help me." It sounds like somebody's yelling it from down inside the shaft. But when they were filming it, they didn't hear it because they keep going on with their video like nothing ever happened.
The video being referenced is entitled MCave Follow-Up 2, uploaded by Sean Neil Horlacher. I'll play the alleged EVP a couple times and then we'll talk about it. So here it goes.
So here's the mine shaft. I'm gonna pick up the camera and show you guys a little bit of the area now. And it is pretty far drop. This is a big hole.
Got a flashlight.
There you go.
Doesn't even shine.
This is there's a barrel down there. This is a giant.
Well, this caught my attention, but I wasn't 100% convinced that this was, in fact, a legit EVP. 3 points. 1. The way the audio seems to quickly fade at one point makes me wonder if the alleged EVP was a hoax made by crossfading two sound clips. On the other hand, the fading could be a natural byproduct of the camera being lowered down into the mineshaft. 2. Could there be another natural explanation for what many are hearing as somebody help? 3. If it is a legit EVP, is this even Kenny's voice? Given the dangers of mining, fatalities were pretty common. Could this have been the voice of a miner who died there? Well, as fate would have it, Sean Horlacher actually uploaded a video fairly recently in which he talks about this. So, I'll play that clip for you now.
So the number one comment is, Sean, at 10 minutes and 7 seconds, I hear Kenny screaming. He's in the mine shaft. And if you watch the beginning of my last video, I said that I had to re-record some shots because I had an old camera that I couldn't freaking transfer the video into my computer. All my fault. So like all these comments and all this crap, it's all my fault because I just didn't have, I had to like re-record it, and then in the background my kids were playing and you hear them like making little screaming noises or something. You hear me saying like, hey, shh, shh. But anyways, okay, so that's what happened at 10 minutes and 7 seconds. Let me throw a quick shout out to a guy named Jeff Claw, who has helped me to combat a lot of the comments. You know, I think for the first year I combated all of it, and then I gave up after a couple years. I was like, I can't do it anymore because it's background noise. But Jeff actually went out to that mine shaft and went down into the mine shaft. Very brave soul. Wow. But he confirmed what Red Rock Search and Rescue had said when they sent a camera down in there, looked around, and he confirmed that he didn't find anything. There's nothing in the mine shaft. So let's just clear that up right now. Thank you, Jeff Claw, for your service, helping with the comments and everything.
Okay, so definitely not a hoax, and probably not even an EVP at all. I feel like Sean did a pretty good job of explaining what was going on there. Now also, I want to give him a shout out because first of all, he's done some awesome work, and he is going back there very, very soon. He uploaded that video about 3 weeks ago from when I'm recording this now, and he said in that video that he would be going back to that location to look again for the M Cave and for Kenny within the next 30 days. So I definitely want to give him a big shout out. Go over and check out his channel, subscribe to his channel as well. I'll put a link to it in the description. So in part 4, well, first of all, I want to take a little break from this topic and get to a few other topics that I've been wanting to get to. One of which being a very interesting subscriber story. So, don't want to give away the details, but I can tell you that you will not want to miss it. So, my cat's coming up to say hello. Let's see, lost my train of thought. In part 4, we'll talk about, theories relating to exactly what happened to Kenny. And also, I want to touch on this other, I believe it was going around on Reddit about another alleged missing person who was looking for the M Cave. So, stay tuned. And Seppi wants to say hello. Hey everyone, Drew here from Mad Cat Mysteries, and I hope you enjoyed the video you just watched. If you did, you can click on the subscribe button below. I'd appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.